Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's been a while since I've made a video strictly for YouTube. It's been a lot of like stream highlights and plays that I cut from my stream in general. But there's been a lot of stuff going on in the community that I kind of wanted to address. Not really in the Tetris community specifically, but more in the larger Twitch and gaming community. So as you guys probably already know from the inevitable title of this video, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the Me Too allegations that have been going on and what that means for the community going forward, what that means as a reflection of our community, and I guess what do we do about this? Because clearly there's a problem, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is why am I talking about this, right? The Tetris community isn't part of this. This is like the Melee community is blowing up, Twitch is blowing up. There's a lot of things that are happening, a lot of bad people in a lot of bad places, but none of them are in Tetris, right? So why am I talking about this? Well, I think like the Tetris community tries to be part of the larger gaming community, right? Like when Tafo started streaming Tetris 99, a lot of Melee players came into Tetris. A lot of Tetris streamers will stream League of Legends a lot. A lot of League of Legends streamers will occasionally stream Tetris. There's a whole lot of overlap between these communities, and to sort of be naive and say, hey, we're playing this like cutesy Japanese puzzle game, we're not really a part of this. I think that's sort of exercising privilege in a way. And it's sort of, we get to do that because of how our community is, but not every gaming community is like that. And we are actually part of the larger gaming community. And I think there's a lot of good things that we do take from other parts of the gaming community, right? We try to take the professionalism of their esports events and the type of overlay and commentary that they do, and we try to put them into our game, and we try to make ourselves an esport. But we can't just take from those communities, we need to give. And if we feel like our community is good and strong and we have good people in our community, then we need to speak out about these things and be a strong example to show that it is possible to have a gaming community without these sorts of like abuses of power that take place. And that's what it really is. It's abuse of power, right? And to be honest, like the reason why these things never happen in the Tetris community is because all of our events are online. Because for sure, like a big part of what allowed these things to happen is there's this false meritocracy that occurs in the gaming community, right? Where there are people who are very good at the game that they play, and therefore they are authority on that game, which is correct. But then there's sort of a leap of logic that gets made as therefore they are a moral authority as well, and that we don't hold them accountable for their actions because they must be doing good things because they're good players. And that's where the logic breaks down, because that's just not true, right? And so if Tetris had in-person tournaments, like perhaps the same things would happen where the players who are the best would also be the players who are seen as moral authorities in ways that they shouldn't. And even if specific things related to Me Too allegations didn't happen in the Tetris community, I'm sure there would always be abuses of power, because where there are power structures, there is almost always an abuse of power. And that's, something to be wary of, I guess, in any community. So then why am I talking about it specifically? Well, so a lot of you who have watched my stream a lot or have maybe watched my channel a lot know that I joke about being old a lot. And I'm not that old, I'm 26 actually, right? So in the scheme of things, it's actually pretty young, right? So why do I joke about being old? Well, it's because the Tetris community is pretty young. And so in comparison to most of the Tetris community, I seem old by comparison, but the reality is I'm not old, I'm an adult, right? And as an adult, I have a certain responsibility, and there are a lot of kids in the Tetris community, and if anything were to happen to any of them, perhaps a reason would be that the adults of the Tetris community were not able to foster the correct kind of environment that is safe for all types of people and minorities and women and everything. And that would be a tragedy. And so I want to sort of get out in front of this, even though nothing has happened in the Tetris community, or if it has, it hasn't come to light yet, and say that if anything ever does happen, you can feel free to reach out to me. I am always down to do whatever is in my power, to whatever little power I might have, in order to help everyone have a voice and help everyone be represented and help whatever justice that needs to take place. And it's important to say these things because there's a saying that's been said by a lot of people already in the last few weeks, but I'll say it again, which is that the only thing that it takes for bad people to do bad things is for good people to stay silent. And so it's really important that we do not stay silent when these things are happening. I think it's very tempting. It's very tempting for me, I know, and probably tempting for other people to sort of keep our head down during this time and say like, hey, I'm not really part of like the overarching Twitch community. I'm not really part of these people. And so like, if I just keep my head down and focus on like my individual stuff, then, I'm not hurting anyone. So like, why do I need to be a part of this? Right. But really that's like using your privilege to do that, because not every, like there are a lot of women streamers and stuff who tried to do that and they weren't able to. So like, just by being able to do that, you're already like showing the privilege that you have. And so I don't want to like succumb to that. And so I really wanted to speak out about the allegations and the bad stuff that are happening in the community in general. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Second thing I wanted to talk about is what do we do about this, right? So there, in the Melee community in general, there's been a lot of talks that like maybe we can't have a Smash community. If the only thing that happens in the Smash community is that all these people who are top players and are TOs and are people of power end up abusing it, then it's not worth having a Melee community anymore. So do we just get rid of it? Is it not worth it anymore, right? And I don't think that's the answer, because, and it's not. I think when a lot of people say that they don't think it's the answer, it comes from a place of selfishness, where they feel that if the community goes away, it's a big part of them, and so like they don't want to hurt themselves by the community going away, right? But I think it's more than that. It doesn't help the victims for the community to go away, because these sorts of power structures are actually everywhere in society. Like all these pro gamers who are playing Melee full-time or playing League full-time or Twitch streamers full-time, if we shut that all down, it's not like those people will disappear. They're just going to go to corporate America. And you better believe this kind of stuff happens in corporate America. Like you better believe there's power systems that are causing all sorts of sexual abuse and all sorts of bad stuff in corporate America. You think it was bad in the streamer world? It seems bad because people are able to call it out in the streamer world, because recently people have called it out and that these things have been brought to light and that these people have been brought to justice. It's the optics of these people being brought to justice which makes it seem worse in the gaming community than it is in the actual community, when in actuality it's worse if people are getting away with it without being called out. And that's what would happen outside of the gaming community, and that is what is happening outside of the gaming community, and we hear about it happening all the time in toxic office culture in corporate America. And so I don't think the answer is to get rid of the gaming community, because if anything, we can change the gaming community since it's smaller, since it's more agile, since we're younger and we can adapt and we can be flexible and change our attitudes. We can fix these things in a way that the larger America and world environments can't really fix these things. Right? And so if anything, there's sort of a silver lining of hope behind these allegations, because we've done some good things too, right? We've punished these people. Most of the people who the allegations have come about, if there's been sufficient evidence against them, people have taken the claims seriously, they've investigated them, and these people have been deplatformed, banned from the Melee scene, banned from the Ultimate scene. Like, it's a good thing that these people were believed in the cases that they were true and that action was put forth. Right? So while it's not a good thing that these things were happening, it would be a worse thing if they were happening and people were getting away with it. And that's what would happen if we just got rid of these scenes entirely. So that was the second thing I want to talk about. Now for the third thing I want to talk about. And this is the part that actually makes me angry and where it's possible that I might get a little bit emotional, okay? Which is false allegations, where people just hear these allegations come out and they want another player or another person to be taken down because of some personal gripe they have against them, or just because they're nihilists who want to see the world burn, and then false allegations come out. And holy shit, how dare you? That is possibly the worst thing you can do. Like, okay, it's not the worst thing you can do. There's worse stuff, but holy shit, man. Like, this harms almost everyone involved, okay? It harms your own personal credibility. It harms the credibility of the people who are making real allegations. It harms the integrity of the person who gets accused. Perhaps the most annoying part for me personally, even though I know this isn't the worst part in general, is that the movement itself gets hurt in the conversations that we have. I've talked to a lot of conservative people about like rape culture and these sorts of heavy topics, and a lot of things that come up when I say that we need to take every allegation seriously. We need to believe victims at first. We need to give them the benefit of the doubt and take everything seriously and give a thorough investigation to all these things. They'll always say stuff like, what about innocent until proven guilty? We can't just believe stuff just because people say them. And there's, what about false allegations, right? That could ruin someone's life. That's the argument that people always give to me back. And I always thought that was bullshit, right? Why would people give false allegations? Why would people risk their entire personhood just to lie about these things? Like, what motivation does someone have to come forward and lie about these things, right? And then right as I say this, apparently it's not even true because I'm seeing people do it. Like, what the heck? Oh, it just spits in the face of everything. And then it ruins the whole conversation. I can't believe it. And the most sad one that I saw was the false allegations against Mewtwo King and what he had to do to, what he had to say to sort of clear his name. And similar things happened to Westballs a little bit, although I think those are not quite cleared up, but it seems like it's moving in that direction, right? I don't know. Maybe that statement will age badly. I'm not sure. But the point is that it makes me very angry. It really does. And it hurts sort of everyone involved. And that absolutely needs to stop. So those are sort of the three things I wanted to talk about. Those are the three topics. Those are my thoughts on them. If I had to give some closing statements, it's that we can improve as a society. We have improved in the past. We will continue to improve. I will do everything in my power so that we improve. If anyone has any problems that they need to talk about, my DMs are always open. You can feel free to talk to me about it. I don't necessarily have the most power to do anything about it, but hopefully I can refer you to someone who does. And I hope that we can continue to move forward as well as possible in the future. Thank you guys for listening to the rant. Hopefully I said everything I needed to say here. It was a little bit freeform. I didn't really write a script for it. It was a bit off the cuff, but I think it's sort of better this way because it's sort of an emotional topic, and I wanted to sort of give my raw, unfiltered thoughts because of that. Yeah. So leave a comment. I guess if you disagree with me, we can talk about it. And I'll talk to you guys in a later video. See ya.